objecting will then have a chance to speak. I will then ask for a summary of the board's field observations and any staff comments. Finally, the applicant will be allowed a chance for a brief rebuttal if they wish. Anyone wishing to speak should use the microphone at the front of the room, state their name, and direct their comments to the board. I ask that all testimony be kept brief, no more than 5 minutes, and to the point. If you are testifying as a nearby landowner, please tell us where your property is located relative to the subject property. Tonight's hearing will be recorded, and the recordings will become part of the record. Comments that are based on hearsay or secondhand information, as well as slanderous or prejudicial remarks, will be ruled out of order. The board has looked at all the properties, and the record will reflect these observations. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this board has 30 days from the filing of tonight's decision to make an appeal. Such appeals shall be heard by the Wishkar County Circuit Court. Information is available from the clerk of court's office and qualified legal counsel. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 30-day period. Now I introduce the rest of the board. To my left are Larry Tim, Kevin Fitzgerald, John Benz, Mark Schumacher. My name is Roger Wagner. To my right is Terry Hochstead, zoning administrator. First variance to be considered tonight, Dale and Susan Borden, Brown Deer, Wisconsin, have made an application for a variance to section 58-235, paragraph A, paragraph 5, and paragraph B of the Wishkar County Zoning Code to construct a 16 by 25 covered concrete patio exceeding 25% of the additions and structural repairs allowed to an existing non-conforming dwelling. Non-conforming due to side lot setback in the RS-20 zone within the shoreline area. Location: a parcel of land being part of lots 11 and 12, Block F, Silvercrest Resort Plat, and vacated Plainfield Avenue known as Parcel K and easement, being part of government lots 5 and 6, Section 6, Town of Marion, W7032 Silvercrest Road. The applicants come forward, please. Hello.
Hi.
Evening.
Would you state your name for the record?
Dale Borden.
Speak into the mic.
Dale Borden.
And Susan Borden.
Okay. Anything you would care to add or tell us at this point?
Actually, we're asking for 24 by 16, not 25 by 16. Our house is 24 feet wide.
Okay. And you want to briefly tell us what you'd like to do and why, and then we'll have some general questions.
We have a small house, and we have a very odd-shaped lot. It's very narrow in the middle, and then it actually looks a lot like an hourglass. And so very little of it is actually usable. A lot of it actually looks like it belongs to our neighbor. It looks like it's his front yard. So the only area we can really do anything to add on and create some usable space for our family is in the front. And so what we'd like to do is put on a 16 by 24 foot patio, flat concrete patio, but we'd like to have some posts and put a gabled roof over that patio because the house faces south-southwest and it's terribly hot. It's like a brick oven in our front yard.
Just some general questions then for the record. Has there been a recent survey out there, and are you sure of the lot lines?
We're sure the lot lines, no, we haven't had a recent survey, but we found, back when we bought the property, we have the plot maps with all the feet, and we actually started from our neighbors, and we worked our way down the block. We found all of theirs, and using theirs, we found all of ours. The only two that we weren't able to physically find are under the road. However, we were able to, using like 100-some foot tape, and their lot line, we were able to work it to where we thought it was, put a mark, and then continue on to the next one, and with a metal detector, we were right on the money. So we were able to find everything except those two, but we know where those two are. We could find them again.
Okay. Have you talked to the neighbors in the town board about the project?
We have. I spoke with
foundation, or you're building this on,
Concrete.
okay. And, how far above existing grade will the patio floor elevation be?
I believe at the corners of the house, it's actually going to be like right at grade, or, you know, just a little bit. As you go toward the street from the house though, the lot grades down a little bit, and it will be about 12 inches, I
About
believe,
12.
above the existing grade. However, we're going to take the garden that is out front, and we're gonna extend it across that whole front and bring the level of that garden up. So you're not gonna see a big chunk of concrete sticking up. It'll actually, you know, that garden is actually just gonna be raised a little bit to make it look
You're gonna,
nicer.
taper it up to meet the house?
Or you're gonna have a step?
There'll be one step out.
There will be one step on the driveway side,
Yeah.
down to the driveway, and the rest it'll be tapered. Across the front and across the other side will be tapered.
Uh, Any other improvements planned at this time? Okay. Stormwater runoff shouldn't be a problem there, should it?
No, actually, we were going to, down the two sides, we're gonna use downspouts and gutters. And the gutters will empty down the downspouts into the flower bed. So we
We're
won't be pushing
We're
our
gonna build
water
the flower
anywhere.
bed up so it captures that water and it won't
Yeah,
go anywhere.
But not like a big hill.
Yeah.
That garden actually goes like, there's a lot of movement in it, and so there'll be plenty of area for that water to sink into the garden.
All other setbacks will be met then?
Setbacks from,
From the road.
we meet our setback from whatever it is in the road. We will still be within the average of the east neighbor and the west neighbor. And the only thing that we don't have is we're tight on the sides, but we're not going to be any tighter than we already are. We don't have any intention of getting any closer to those lot lines than our existing house already is.
You know where the sewer lateral is, this won't interfere with that?
Yes, we
No.
do, and no.
The construction should not interfere with vision on the road or access to any other, you'll have enough room for parking yet?
Yes.
Okay. Will you have to back out onto the road, or can you turn around before?
We already have to back out onto the road. And this won't have any, it won't alter that at all.
What are the actual hardships and unique property limitations that would support this variance?
Well, the hardships and the size and shape of our lot is our hardship, yeah.
You can't utilize the backyard at all.
No, or the side yards,
Yeah,
it's
or the
just too
sides,
small.
it's so
Too
small.
odd shape.
And if an approval were granted, when would you start construction on the project?
After Labor Day.
After Labor Day.
Any other committee questions?
I had a couple, we had some questions about what your definition of covered was, and one of the things that we saw that was not in the plan was plan view or any construction drawings. Do you have?
No,
You don't have that.
all this is really going to be is a gabled roof with a peak, a covered, you know, that peak will be closed, and then we'll have a nice gabled roof to match the brand new roof that we
Could
just
be
put on the
screened?
top of our house.
No.
No screen,
No windows,
just
no
two
screen.
posts at the front. Our contractor has already come and talked to somebody about the size of it and how many posts he would have to use, so he knows exactly, we're gonna have two posts at the front, and it will be attached to the home on the back side. So no screens at all. We like the feeling of being outside, we just don't wanna bake. And right now, we're baking.
I didn't see the, any detailed drawings. in the
Right.
plan,
I
so that's a question.
Any other questions? Okay, you can have a chair then, thank you.
Thank you.
Correspondence?
We did receive 7 letters. They're all exactly the same, so I'll read one and then I'll read all the names that the applicant brought in 2 days ago. It's addressed to our office, and it says, regarding my neighbor's request for a variance to build a covered patio, we are neighbors of Dale and Susan Borden, who own W7032 Silvercrest Road, Watoma, Wisconsin. We are aware that they have filed for a variance to add a covered patio on the front of their home. We have spoken to them about it and wish to make it known that we are in support of the addition. And that's signed by James Heck of W7028 Silvercrest Road, Kim Duvernell of W7029 Silvercrest Road, William and Mary Adams of W7031 Silvercrest Road, Robert Tarr of W7036 Silvercrest Road, Dolores Fisher, W7041 Silvercrest Road, and Craig and Virginia Arnold, W7040 and W7044 Silvercrest Drive, and Mike and Margie Bain, W7045 Silvercrest Road. And that's it for correspondence. No one registered to speak.
Staff comments?
For the record, the board has previously been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all the other pertinent data for this and the other application that they are considering tonight. And they also visited both of the properties and viewed the proposals on site, so they got a better feel for the construction being asked for in the variance request. I'd like to explain a little bit about variances at this time. Variances ask for a relaxation of a dimensional standard in the code. The decision to grant a variance must be backed by substantive reasons, which include an unnecessary hardship is being caused by the code requirement. There are unique limitations on the property that prevent the landowner from meeting the required dimensional standards. And finally, if the variance is granted, no harm will be done to the public interest or the zoning code. It is the applicant's responsibility to present their case and provide the burden of proof as to why the variance should be granted. The personal situation of the applicant, financial hardship, or nearby violations cannot be considered as valid reasons to grant a variance. When the board visited the property, they noted that the property was well staked. The proposed addition is set back further from the road than the neighbors' existing homes. They also noticed there's a small shed in the backyard that is too close to the lot line, and that there could be some runoff concerns from the new roof onto Silvercrest Road with the parking area in between, but it should be easy enough to address those with runoff control designated or designed to contain and street the stormwater from the proposed addition. That's really it for my comments. I think everything else is pretty straightforward.
Okay. And the next variance to be considered, Troy Jensen, Sussex, Wisconsin. They made an application for variance in accordance with section 58-235, paragraph A, paragraph 5, paragraph A, of the Washare County zoning code to structurally alter windows, doors, and ventilation system, and to construct a 10-by-10 attached deck exceeding maintenance and repair allowed to an existing non-conforming dwelling, non-conforming due to side lot setback in a commercial zoning, in the CS zone within the shoreline area. Location, a parcel of land being part of lots 2, 3, and 4 of plat, and adjacent parcel, now known as Lot 2, in the south 19 feet of Lot 1 of Certified Survey Map 384, being part of Government Lot 5, Section 33, Town of Coloma, Pleasant Lake, W13415, Bluegill Lane. The applicant present? Come forward, please.
Sure.
What's being passed down is we want to make an amendment to the application, and I'll explain that. My name is Troy Jensen from Sussex, Wisconsin, and we purchased a lake property on Pleasant Lake. So when we applied for the variance, we thought we were in the residential zone. After we applied, Amy informed me that we were actually in the CS zone. So upon some investigation, I found that in the CS zone, there is no side setback requirements. But due to our neighbor who was building a bar and grill for several years, decided to go against that and asked for his property to be rezoned. I think that happened about 5 years ago, I was told, into a residential. So his property is residential, and then the other properties around us are CS. So I put in the amendment here is that that's creating an additional hardship on our property because we was okay with setbacks until they did this rezoning, which put us into a nonconformance. So that's what the highlighted thing on the thing is. So, is it good? Okay for me to just go ahead and talk? Okay. So, as I mentioned, we want to make the amendment, but with the side setback issue that we have now, we have approximately 3 feet, and I think you guys went out to the property. I apologize for not being there, or times kind of got mixed up, but we wanted to show you on some of the inside structural issues that we have. So with the side setbacks about 3 feet, and it's less than 1/2 of the required. So the municipal code says, in that situation, you can only maintain and repair anything interior. You cannot do anything to the structural work. And that's the variance that we're asking for, is to fix the structural issues that we found when we opened the walls. So when we purchased the property, we knew we had some potential electrical issues, so we opened up all the walls so I could get to electrical, get all that changed out to new. And when we did that, we found many structural issues, specifically around the headers, and I'll show you a couple of pictures that you can see. So the first issue is we want to be able to fix the structural issues that we found when we opened the walls. And then, unfortunately, you was not able to see inside, but if you was inside, you would see that the lighting in there and ventilation is very poor because they closed up so many of the windows and covered them with siding. And so that we want to be able to improve the lighting and the ventilation and bring it up to the current uniform dwelling code for the minimum lighting and the minimum ventilation requirements. And the third thing we'd like to do is be able to improve the lighting and ventilation in the living room area by adding a patio door, a big patio door, 6 foot, that would lead out onto the deck. And I believe that you was able to see where we wanted to put the deck on our property. So the main issue, what we want to accomplish here is we want to make our property safe for us and our family. We want to make it very usable, and we want to bring it up to the uniform dwelling code. So the survey, we do have the survey here, and you've seen the property, so you know where it's at. We have the side setback on the east side right here, very short. And this is the property that rezoned right next to us. It's that big brand new house. It was going to be a bar and grill. We did have a survey done here for LOMA purposes, so we could get out of the flood zone. And we're below the flood zone, and we have plenty of water setback, so we don't have any of the water setback issues on our property. And even if we are able to add the deck in this location right out here, it would not protrude any further to the south from the 3-season room we have on there, so we're not going to be any farther into towards the water. So, unfortunately, these are black and white, but
We have copies,
We've got copies.
we have copies of them.
okay. So if you look at, we had several windows, several doors that were covered up by the previous owner. They took them out, and they left the framing there. The windows that were still in, they were framed improperly as well. And if you look at the header, if you look at some of these pictures, the only thing that's holding the headers up are like the nails going in from the sides. So our entire roof is being supported by nails going into the side of these headers, which is very unsafe. A couple of the pictures you could actually see actually some sag in there because the header was improperly sized and it wasn't supported. We had one real long section, a 7-foot section. They only had a 1/2 inch thick header there, and it was pieced. It wasn't even a full piece. We had one header here where they cut into the header. That's 1.5 inches, and they cut 3/4 inch through it. And again, there's no support from the side other than nails. And then we had one here on the east side that you may have seen. It's a door to nowhere, is what we call it. And so it's on the side setback issue side, and it's just a drop off there. There's no steps or anything leading out of it. So we want to take out that door, frame it in properly, and make it safe. And that's the one that actually I noticed the sag on. And then I don't think you have these pictures, and unfortunately it's black and white. But when you go inside, when it's really bright outside, it's still very dark in all these rooms. So what we want to be able to really accomplish is to, increase the window sizes so we get proper ventilation and proper lighting requirements to the UDC. And then also we want to make sure that like the bedrooms have windows that are low enough and big enough so that if we have a fire preventing us to get out the door of the bedroom, we want to have an egress path. And so that's why we want to fix the structural issues and make a little bit bigger windows in those bedrooms so that we can have access for people that might be caught in there. So in the sections about hardship, I think I mentioned all those.
is actually left in the commercial zone there. Is yours the only residence?
Fred, you may know, I know the person right behind us is still CS, but do you know the Del Plains? Yeah, Dan's in a CS zone,
Looking at the map, it's pretty much just your property.
and the one behind us. Tax bill says motel.
Well, tax codes and assessment,
Okay.
zoning codes are different. So how he's assessed, I can't tell you, but the zoning is pretty much just your property.
The same person owned those three properties, the one to our east, the one to our north, and our property, and then they split it up.
And that kind of made sense to us why the door was there, because if they owned the bar, they could
Yeah.
go out the door
Exactly.
and head right over there. So,
Never thought about that, but that's right. So we just request that we're able to, the main thing, fix our structural issues and, provide proper lighting and ventilation so that we can enjoy the property a little bit more. And like I said, we do not have any water setbacks, so we wouldn't be impacting any of the shoreland area. I don't think we'd have any issues with the runoff, creating erosion down there because we're far enough away from the water. And we just want to make sure that our house is safe. We want to make sure it's updated so that it, maintains property values in the area and so that we can maintain the tax base, right? Instead of having the property falling down.
Has there been a recent survey out there, and are you sure of the lot lines?
Yes, the flood guy, he went and he checked the, where the pipes were and stuff and used that. But Fred, do you know if there was another survey before that? Yeah, so
Well,
this
we
is
have one from,
that's the only one that we have,
The survey that you had
other than the flood
put
one.
it in your packet from Central Staking.
Yeah, that's just the flood zone one.
Okay. 'Cause he only located one lot line,
Right,
one lot corner.
correct. That looks right, based on his map.
But none of the others were located down there. Do you know where the other ones are?
I personally do not know. I assume we should be able to find them though, based on the survey here that we have, we can go out and find them. And they do have like a fence along the east side here that comes down and comes over, so I'm sure that we would find the posts right there in those corners.
Like I said before, have you thought about changing the zone change back to residential, if that's what you intend to use it for?
Well, when it was just brought to our attention, like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, it was proposed that we may want to do that, so that would be something we'd like look to into the future. Because if everybody else in that area is residential, then it would make sense to put it into that, because that's what it's used for now. We have no intentions of doing anything commercial.
And if you would ever choose to sell, it might cloud the.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, when we bought it, we assumed it was residential, but I've never bought a
looks like it.
lake property before that has been commercial before, so.
Does a zone change have to be instituted by the property owner?
Generally it is, because it's their property, so they're the ones that are gonna wanna say how it's zoned.
But haven't we found some that were zoned incorrectly that we changed?
We haven't, no, not really. I mean, the Planning and Zoning Committee hasn't done it in recent memory.
Those are just
Sometimes,
those are little pieces that
sometimes
we
the
did.
board does some boundary interpretations. So let's say that the CS boundary is 10 feet north of his property. You might interpret that, but you would not change the zoning. You would just interpret where the boundary is.
Have you talked to the neighbors in the town board about your plans?
The town board, we did not. We've talked to 4 of the 5 neighbors that are immediately around us, and each of them had no objections with what we was proposing to do.
What type of foundation will you place this new addition on?
It would be a deck, so we would use footings, footings that go down, and then use pressure-treated wood for the underneath structure.
You think you'll have to do any foundation work to the existing structure or any excavation?
Foundation looks fine. Down in the crawl space looks
What
good.
will the finished height be?
right where the floor comes out of the house, it'd be the deck height, so it's probably 2.5 feet off the ground. Deck? It's not gonna be covered or anything,
No
it's an
cover.
open
It'll
deck.
be open deck?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
And how will you deal with stormwater runoff, especially towards the lake or the side lot line to the east?
So I don't know if I put in the application, but it showed kind of the drainage and stuff. So the drainage is away from the east side there, and it kind of undulates down the hill towards the lake. And there's kind of a low area in our yard before it goes out to the lake again. So it would just naturally run down into that low spot in the yard.
Any other improvements planned at this time? All other setbacks will be met? Septic system, any improvements to that or anything,
Not yet.
any interference with it?
There'll be no interference. It's on the other side of the house.
Have you thought about restoring the shoreline there or doing anything on the shoreline?
So when we bought the property, most of the shoreline was covered with weeds and stuff like that. So we was going to open up the viewing corridor there and then leave the rest for the natural vegetation that's there. We have about 100 feet frontage.
Is that what those stakes were? Was
Is that
the
with the
viewing
2 orange
corridor?
stakes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was the viewing corridor?
Yes.
we were wondering about
Past the
that.
fire pit toward
Right.
the beach?
Right.
Okay.
Have you considered any other options as far as structurally rebuilding this or starting over or?
Don't want to start over. Most of the things are pretty good overall, but fixing the windows and doors, I think, would create the structure and make it last for quite a while.
And if an approval were granted, when would you start construction on this project?
Permits right now that we can work on inside portions, the remodel of that, and not the structural.
Any other committee questions?
Do you have to do anything with the roof?
The roof looks okay right now. I've been up on it, I've been inside the attic and stuff, and it looks okay right now.
Are you gonna, to make the repairs, are you gonna have to lift it up maybe, or try to get it up so you can make all those repairs with the headers on the windows and doors?
We may have to do a little bit of jacking. I haven't looked into that. Yeah, to take out any of the sag that might be there. Yes.
Is that gonna be the same one that's gonna do the structural?
Yes. Yeah.
So they're aware of it.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And the floodplain survey, it does show a line there. It appears to me that it's probably less than 3 feet to that east end of the house, but do you know how far it is?
So I know from the house, it's 2.5 to 3 feet. And then there's a black piece of molding.
Landscape edging or
Yeah.
whatever.
And then it goes into rock. I assume the rock is all theirs, and the landscape edging thing is ours. So it looks like it's 2.5 to 3 feet to me there. I didn't actually make that.
But you're assuming that that landscape edging is the lot line, and you're not
It may not be.
certain.
It may not be.
And there's no overhang on that end then?
There is no overhang. No.
Any other committee questions?
Good.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
correspondence,
We have no correspondence and no one registered to speak.
staff comments?
Again, the board visited the property, obviously, and looked at all the site plan and the pertinent data that was submitted with this application. We're looking at a relaxation of a dimensional standard in the code. In this case, they're not building closer to the lot line, much like the last one. The existing home is too close, and there are restrictions on how much you can do depending on how close you are, and this one's really close. When the board visited the property, they noted that the home appears to be very close to the easterly lot line, according to the diagram provided by the applicant from Setchell's Staking, which does not locate all of the corners of the lot. They also noted that stormwater runoff could be an issue, mostly because that home is apparently pretty close to the lot line. And they also noticed that the zoning should be changed to residential from commercial service at some point to allow residence as a permitted use. Other than that, I really have no comments.
Okay, that closes the public hearing to the Board of Adjustment. We will adjourn adjourned. The first room on the right, planning and zoning will meet here next for their public hearing.
Wow, I got the low chair. Ooh, I'm on the mic.
That's the name on it.
Ready, Jerry?
Oh, yeah, he's ready.
Ready.
I will call this meeting of Waushara County Planning and Zoning Committee to order. The meeting will be conducted in the same manner as the applicants heard by the Board of Adjustments. Please remember to keep your comments brief, no more than 5 minutes, and relative to the matter at hand. Anyone other than the applicant or their representative wishing to speak at this hearing must have registered. Anyone who has not should do so immediately and submit the registration slips to the zoning administrator. The committee has looked at all the properties and recorded will reflect their observations. Following the public hearing, the committee will conduct their monthly business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave following the public hearing. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this committee has 10 days from the filing of tonight's decision to file an appeal. Such appeals are heard by the Waushara County Board of Adjustments. Information and applications are available from the county zoning office. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of the 10-day period. I will introduce the committee.
The far left, Jerry Rathwell, Fred Gallup, Barry Mastacola, Bob Wadle.
Gary Dot Boxted, zoning administrator. To my right, my name is Mark Kirschner. First application that we will hear tonight, Gerald C. Capp, Wautoma, Wisconsin, has made application for a conditional use after the fact in accordance with sections 58-903, paragraph 3 of Waushara County zoning code for filling and grading exceeding 10,000 square feet in area in an AG general agricultural zone within the shoreline area. Location, a parcel of land being part of the southeast quarter of the northwest quarter, section 7, town 18 north, range 11 east, town of Marion, fire number N1987, Indian Mounds Court. Is the applicant present? Would you come forward, please? Would you state your name for the record, please?
Jerry Cap. Shane Dibble.
Okay. And what connection are you, Shane?
I'm the landscape contractor that's going to be completing the work.
Okay, sounds good, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit what's going on there?
Yeah,
Sure.
Mr. Geller. When I was, after I built my house and I'm trying to landscape it out, I got apparently a little carried away with it. And, not unknowingly. And, so I, at first when I dragged some of the topsoil or the soil over the other part, I got rid of that. Rick came out and said, you gotta get rid of it and reseed it. I did that last year, but the seed didn't take, not like it should. Apparently didn't put enough topsoil in it, as it's sand, if you were out there, you know, it's my sandy place. And, so anyway, that didn't take. And so now when it came back this spring, I was starting to landscape, and he said, you gotta put topsoil down, and I was gonna put some retaining walls to
stop the erosion, that was the plan. I was just, well, by the time I got done with building, it was winter time, and I couldn't do any of this stuff. So, I had started doing it, but I needed help, and that's why Shane is here, because I didn't know what to do.
Okay. Is there anything that you'd like to add?
You guys should have the design, and everything is on the design that is gonna take place.
Okay, the committee has a few questions. Committee questions, please?
All right. There's been a recent survey, Jerry?
It has been a while ago, but I do know where the stakes are.
Could you explain how this got started and what you envision the area to look like when you are done, basically? As far as, could you tell me, explain how this got started and what you hope to have it look like when it's done?
Actually, well, okay, Shane will probably tell you a little bit more about that, but I'll try. How it got started is because I was trying to smooth everything out, because when they got done building, it just left everything in a mess. This just was. So I tried to smooth everything out, and by smoothing everything out and making everything flow with the rest of the land, I didn't think it was out of control, but apparently it was. And so what we're gonna do now is if you're looking from the pond side, on the left-hand side, there's 2 retaining walls going there to stop the erosion. On the other side, there's another retaining wall that'll go.
Okay.
And we're grass seed and lots of topsoil to bring back the vegetation.
When did you start the project?
The house building or the
Well, basically the landscaping around the existing.
landscaping? Well, actually, last fall I started it, and then again, we got a kind of an early winter, and I had to quit. And so as soon as I could this spring, I tried to doing it again, and
We were out to the site, we understand where the retaining walls are gonna be from the plan. As far as stormwater runoff, what are your plans there?
the 3 cisterns, I believe, here, maybe Shane can.
3 drainage pits. Approximately, I have them on the design here. Let's see. One of them is 4 feet deep, 3 foot by 2 foot, and 2 of them are 4 feet deep and 6 foot by 6 foot. And they are
Are they located at the corners on the
they're
facing side of the pond, unnamed
they
pond?
are off to the side of where the downspouts are.
Okay.
So they're to not interfere with the retaining walls or running into the water.
Have you reviewed any of this with your land conservation department?
Yes.
Are you aware of the 35-foot vegetation protection area required near the pond? And are you planning on using native species when you restore the vegetation there?
Pardon?
As far as species of growth, vegetation is going to be restored, are you looking at the native vegetation or?
Well, most of the native is, which is all, if you saw, it's all kind of grown back now, but we're also gonna put some more grass seed down there.
Okay.
To initially help it and stabilize it.
Are you planning on any more filling or grading within 35 feet of the marsh area? As far as stabilizing the rest of the site where the filling and grading has taken place, the type of vegetation being used there is strictly lawn grass? Topsoil and lawn grass? And how long do you expect before, after your landscaping, everything's set, as far as stabilizing the ground so the erosion is no longer taking place?
Should be about 3 weeks for about a 75% establishment.
Do you know exactly or approximately how large an area has been disturbed? We were out there, but exactly how large an area was disturbed there from along the pond, along the unnamed pond area there? I didn't know if you had any measurements or.
Yeah, I have them in handwriting.
have the length by width on that, so it's along the pond roughly how far?
Approximately 175 feet, I believe.
Okay. As far as the stormwater, I understand your runoff cisterns. Are there, as far as any other runoff from the property, is it going to be going on any neighbor's land or the town road or any other properties, just your own? Thank you. And majority of the runoff will be diverted away from the Martian Pond?
That's almost impossible.
Well, I understand that, but as far as off the roof, you're going into cisterns and then from
They go
there?
straight to the ground,
Okay.
and they will soak in. They're designed for the 10-year storm.
And any additional runoff, is there any other runoff going to be directed towards the pond other than those? So then there wouldn't be an issue as far as filtering any water runoff before it goes in the pond. Is there any hazard there?
No hazard.
And you checked with the DNR what sort of permits might be needed from them?
That we did not.
And if approval is granted, and because this is an after-the-fact situation, when would you plan on finishing this project?
Finishing, upon approval, it would be approximately 2 weeks to get to the start date. Then it would be 2 to 3 weeks for completion.
Other questions?
Any other questions from the committee? Nope. Okay, thank you. Correspondence?
We have no correspondence, and the one slip there was Shane Dibble, who already,
Shane has already spoke, you don't really,
and then we did have one more person register to speak. Or no,
registered.
no, just, sorry, not speak.
Richard Weisjohn, registered only in opposition, but not speak. Staff comments, please.
For the record, the committee has been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all the other pertinent data for this and the other applications they will be considering tonight. And at this time, I'd like to explain a little bit about conditional use permits and this one in particular. All defined zones have uses that are permitted outright. And then there's also uses that may be permitted provided certain conditions are met. And that's what we're looking at here, a use that may be permitted provided that certain parameters can be complied with so the use remains in keeping with the surrounding area and other land uses and natural features. In some counties, these are called special exception permits. In this case, when you disturb more than 10,000 square feet in area adjacent to a water body, you do need to get a conditional use permit. Between 2,000 and 10,000 square feet, it's covered under the land use permit when you build the house, and most people don't disturb more than that. But in this case, we had more disturbance than that, and it is adjacent to a water body, so we need to have the conditional use permit looked at. The committee visited the property. They noted that the site remains open without adequate vegetation after about a year since it was first noted by the zoning office, and that the site should be restored with a vegetated buffer within 35 feet of the edge of the pond, and that would help capture and filter some of the runoff that is inevitably going to go down there. Shane, the landscaper, was on site and answered questions about his role. However, the landowner was not there, so they're very happy to see the landowner tonight so they can ask him some questions too. I really don't have much for comments other than I do think that we need to get this vegetated fairly quickly. You know, it is a wetland. It has importance. You know, it's not a degraded wetland. I wouldn't probably call it the highest quality wetland, but it is a good wetland, and we do need to get it protected. And I would certainly recommend that there be a vegetative buffer supplied within that 35-foot area along the edge. And that's it for my comments.
Okay. Is there any thing that you'd like to add, Shane or anything? next application we'll be here tonight is another conditional use. Thomas, Mary, and Jacob Hanson, Plainfield, Wisconsin, made application for a conditional use in accordance with sections 58-236, paragraph 19, and 58-454, paragraph 11 of the Waushara County zoning code to establish a dog kennel, maximum 9 adult dogs, with no commercial boarding, grooming, training, or breeding in the AG General Agricultural Zone. Location, an approximate 2.0 acre parcel of land being part of Lot 1 of CSM 4438 and part of the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter, Section 16, Town 20 North, Range 8 East. Town of Plainfield, fire number N6354, County Road KK. I don't have to ask for the applicant to step forward because they already have. State your names for the record, please.
I'm Jacob Hansen.
And I'm Mary Hanson.
Okay, can you kind of give us a little information what you're going to do there, or what, or?
Not really gonna be like a boarding kennel or anything, it's just, we have a couple extra dogs, and they're Pomeranians. We have, and they live in the house, so we have to get a kennel license in order to keep our pets, cause yeah, we don't want them to, we don't wanna have to give them away or whatever.
And we don't plan on getting no more after these dogs.
No more dogs, that's the only reason why we need a kennel license, cause we didn't know how many dogs we could have, and each one of our kids has dogs. So, and I have my own dogs, he has his dogs, and then the other kids have dogs, and we got left with a dog from my other kid, so that's basically it. And we love our dogs, and that's why we need a kennel license, to keep the 4 extra. So all the kids have been ordered to not get any more dogs, right? Okay. No more.
Got quite a family there.
Well, they're all kind of little. We only have one big dog, and she's outside, so that's a husky.
All right, the committee has some questions that they'll be asking you. Committee questions, please?
Sure. Good evening, folks. I would ask, has there been a recent survey?
Yes, there is.
And do you know where your lot lines are? Have you contacted the county humane officer?
Yeah, we did. We talked to the cop or whatever.
Yeah, there was a
That, and we went and talked to the, what's the health lady?
Susan Leather, and we talked to zoning and the
Times.
county clerk.
So you have contacted the humane officer?
Yeah.
The
And
Plainfield,
and the town chairman of Plainfield I contacted.
Harvey and I.
Okay. Are you aware of the county kennel requirements, and will they be followed? Will there be any commercial boarding or training?
No,
Just your own
My own.
animal flock in there?
yeah, just,
So these are all your personal dogs? And where are all the dogs housed currently?
7 of them live in the house. The husky and beagle live outside. Except for when it's cold, they come in the house.
So they're house dogs? Pretty much?
those 2 are outside, but the rest are all inside, because they're little doggies.
Sure, okay. Well, you just mentioned that there is one or some that are outside,
There's 2 that are outside.
They're,
larger dogs?
It's a husky and a beagle.
yeah,
Okay. Are they, well, let me see, are they kept outside? Yes, some only. And are they screened from the driveway so road and neighbors will not be affected by their presence there?
We have an underground electric fence in the back of the yard, so they never get up front.
Okay. And that works to keep them in? All right. Will you need any additional parking because of the kennel?
no,
Only if the dogs drive?
maybe,
Are you planning any signs?
no,
No.
You have no need for signs?
No need
No
for-
commercial business?
Oh, they're just our pets.
Will the kennels be at least 300 feet from any home other than your own?
What do you mean by kennels? Because they live in the house.
Well,
some are outside in the backyard, you said,
Yeah.
so,
2 of them are outside.
is that at least 300 feet from any other houses? The one Yeah, to the it is, north 'cause would the probably other be the house is like- closest, right? What is The she? one to the north would be the closest, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yes. And she's way on the other side.
Like 2 acres over more than 300 feet.
Okay, and how are the animal wastes being disposed of?
We're putting out, we have a compost pile in the back of the yard, and we rake everything, that's where it goes in our compost pile.
Okay, so you don't ship any of that waste out? What would be the maximum number of adult dogs?
9, but once those 9 are done, we're not having no more dogs.
And
Right.
And 4 of them are quite old.
Okay, and all these dogs are presently on the property, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, well, those are the questions I have.
The neighbors concerned, have they barking or anything like that? Have you had any?
With our schedules, we didn't actually get to talk to the neighbors,
You've had no neighbors call or complain about barking?
not barking, we had a neighbor call and say we had too many dogs.
They thought,
They thought.
but not the barking, because,
But not because they were barking or they got loose or?
no.
She must have been down and see how many dogs we had.
Okay, thank you very much. Correspondence?
No correspondence and no one registered.
Staff comments, please?
We were,
Again,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Terry.
You can talk too.
The only comment I had was when we visited the property, everything seemed to be well kept. You could see where the 2 outer kennels were, at the south side of the house, I believe it is. And it seemed well kept. I didn't see any issues with.
Mhm. Again, for the record, the committee has been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all the other data, and we did visit the property. This is a conditional use again. It's not something that you can do to have more than 5 dogs on a property. Once you do, you need the kennel license, whether you're doing commercial boarding and training or not. And then that allows the committee to put conditions on it so that it remains in keeping with the neighbors' properties and things like that. When the committee visited the property, they noted that there are relatively few close neighbors. The property was very well maintained. And I have to tell you, we drove in, it was raining, but I don't think anyone was home. And I sat there for a while listening for dogs to see if they would bark, and I didn't hear any. Then I rolled down the window to make sure I wasn't, not hearing, and it's like, they didn't, and we had a big bus, so they weren't barking when we were there. We didn't get out and knock on the door, but they didn't bark just because we drove in. And we didn't see any dogs. So for that many dogs, we didn't see any and we didn't hear any. So that was it for my comments.
That's it? Okay, I just one question.
I wasn't sure how this worked. I mean,
Don't-
you can throw out my opposition to that one. I was curious as to how much work would be done and nothing was permitted.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
You talked with the town chairman?
I talked to Harvey, yes.
You did, okay. And his comment?
He asked me why I was calling because that was a zoning matter.
Okay.
Sounds like Harvey.
Okay. No other questions or anything? Any rebuttal that you'd like to, okay, that concludes that application. The last application that we have is a zone change, which Terry will explain later on. Donald Wilson, Plainfield, Wisconsin, has made application for a zone change in accordance with sections 58-131 through 58-138 and 58-661 of the Washera County zoning code, from a AG, general agricultural, to a CS commercial service to conditionally establish a mini storage with a proposed construction of 2 20 by 92-foot storage units. Location, an approximate 120 feet by 400 foot portion of a 10.177 acre parcel of land being part of Lot 1 of CSM number 3782 and part of the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter, Section 12, Town 20 North, Range 8 East, Town of Plainfield, 6th Avenue. Is the applicant present? Would you step forward, please? Would you state your name for the record, please, ma'am?
Donald Wilson,
Can you kind of tell us what you got in mind there and explain a little bit of the situation for us, Don?
Yes, what I'm looking to do is put up 2 mini storage units. One right away, and then when we finish, get the other one, say half filled, we'll build the other one. They're going to be 92 feet long, 20 feet wide. There'll be 9 units in each building. I'm looking for a 120 by 400 foot zone change for the simple reason is if this goes over well, I may put 2 more on the back side of that. It has been surveyed. I have talked to both neighbors. I went to the county board, to the township, talked to Harvey, and went to the board meeting, got a letter from them, which I have submitted. And with the 2 letters from my neighbors, I have also submitted those with my application. Other than that, I will be putting in roughly a 50-foot driveway with culvert for runoff. Other than that, that's pretty much, yeah.
Okay, the committee probably has a few questions here for you, Don.
Sure.
Now, some of these might be repetitious, but we gotta ask them. Has there been a recent survey to the property?
Yes.
And you know exactly where the lot lines are?
Yes.
Will there be any employees outside of the immediate family?
No.
Is an advertising sign being planned?
Not at this time. The only sign that would be there would be on the building itself. That'd be the only sign, nothing on the road.
Are you aware of the state building codes and other state requirements, and will they be met?
Yes.
How much filling and grading will be done to install these buildings?
Well, right now, I'm looking to go roughly 4 inches above road grade, so I would have, so to keep the water from running back into the building.
Any office space or something other than mini storage units?
No.
And you did say that if this turns out good, you're planning on building some more possibly in the
Yes,
future?
possibly in the future, yes.
Will there be any ongoing rummage sales, flea markets, or other commercial activities on the property? Will there be any security lighting, and if so, could you describe it for the committee?
Yes, basically what I'm looking to do is putting in some light poles and possibly cameras to secure the area.
And you said you were gonna put in a 50-foot wide driveway?
Yes.
That's gonna be right in the middle of the 2 proposed?
Right between the, yeah, and there was green flags there, I don't know if you.
Saw those.
Yeah.
Will you need a uniform property address number?
Yes.
You said you talked to the town board about this application?
Yes.
Have they noted that this area is slated for future commercial development on their land use plan?
I don't, he's never said anything.
And do you realize that this application needs to go to the county board and the town board before a final decision is reached?
Whatever has to be
Now,
done.
we can approve it or disapprove it, then the county board and then the town board. So you got 3 strikes before you're out. If an approval is granted, when would you plan on starting construction of these storage units?
As soon as possible, as soon as I get the permit.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
You will not have any electric, Don, inside the building?
No, no electric inside the building, no water inside the building. Like I say, the only electric will be there will be the security lights.
All right.
Different fire number? Right, that's what we're, yeah, that's what he just asked.
Uniform.
Yep.
These,
Have to get a different one, yes.
these have doors on each side, or,
There'll be 2 units with single doors, there'll be 20 foot, and then there'll be 7 units with doors on both sides so you can access both sides.
I wasn't really seeing that on the site plan, I was kind of confused. So you'll have a driveway all the way around?
Yes, there'll be a driveway the whole way around the building.
Any other committee questions?
Nope.
Okay,
Okay, so you have to go back to the township
we'll
board?
explain all that to you here in just a little bit. Thanks, Don. Correspondence?
We do have a letter from the town of Plainfield dated July 14th, 2015.
And it says, at the July 8th Town Board meeting, the Plainfield Town Board approved the construction of storage units on the Don Wilson property located on 6th Avenue. Please see a copy of attached board minutes of that meeting. And it's signed Jan Hall Clerk. And down here it says, Don Wilson, property owner, explained to the board that he is planning to construct mini storage units on his property located on the corner of Alp and 6th Avenue. He has been working with the county zoning office, and they have requested that Don get the permission of the town board to build the storage units. Harvey and I move to approve the request to construct mini storage units on 6th Avenue. Gary Woyak seconded. Motion carried. The clerk will write a letter indicating the approval of the storage units. That's all I saw in the minutes about it. And then I think these letters are the same. And it says, Donald Wilson is applying for a permit to build public storage units on his property. I would like you to sign and date this paper that says he has informed you of what he is going to do. And the first one's signed and dated by Gloria and Vern Zimmerman. And the second one is signed by Gary Phillips. And that's it for
That's all the
correspondence.
correspondence? Anyone in,
Excuse me, Terry, the second one is who?
Gary Phillips.
Gary Phillips.
okay, anyone in favor or opposition?
We have one registered in favor.
Speak in favor of the application, Sam Johnson?
I'm Sam Johnson. I represent a tree farm that's across the road, across 6th Avenue. We're on S11 T20 North R8E. It's east 1/2 of northeast 1/4, less 5 acres in the northwest corner, 75 acres of managed forest. And our Bell Tree Farm forester has said that he has no objection to this. And I'm the major owner, but there are 4 of us and none of us have any objections to it. I would like to ask if it's fireproof, if they're going to be fireproof, these buildings.
Direct
Director, yeah.
They are
your comments
fireproof?
here, and then the applicant would have a chance to answer that in his rebuttal.
Yeah.
Okay?
That would be my main concern.
He can answer that later for you.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Staff comments, please?
Again, the committee has reviewed the site plan and all the data that was submitted with this application. This is a zone change. Zone changes are more permanent changes to the property. As we said before, all defined zones have uses that are permitted and some that are conditional uses. Commercial storage buildings such as this are not permitted in the general ag zone, the residential zone, zones like that. You have to go to a commercial zoning. And then it's also a conditional use within that zone. So this application tonight is a zone change to the commercial zoning designation and to conditionally established, which means it's the conditional use all rolled into one. Because the zone change is so permanent, it has to go through 3 steps. So the Planning and Zoning Committee tonight will review it. They will make a recommendation to the full county board. And then after that, it goes to the town board. And it needs an approval at all 3 steps before it's approved. So even if Planning and Zoning said they recommend approval and county board accepted that and they approved it, if for some reason or another the town board said, no, we don't think it's a good idea, it could get shot down. That's why we send you to the town board early on, so you don't get your hopes up as you move through the first 2 steps and then get your legs cut off at the last one. So it sounds like things should go smoothly, provided that the Planning and Zoning Committee considers approval too. When the committee visited the property, they noted that the visibility was good at the proposed driveway entrance. The nearest residents to this are both currently owned by the applicant at this time.
Leave it alone, Jerry.
And they did note that the property should have its own address number if the application is approved. I really don't have any other comments.
Don, would you come up here and direct the answer the question that the,
Okay, it's going to meet all fire codes and state codes. I mean, so I would imagine that it would be fireproof. It's going to be metal structure. So like I said, it's just gonna be a state-approved building. So I've already have the state plans here for it.
does that answer your question? Sam? Okay. Okay, thank you, Don. Okay, that concludes the applications for tonight. We will next conduct our business meeting.
Jerry, will you keep the noise down there? Gonna have it broke yet.
It's off, it's off.
You, okay,
Pick it
We
now.
want to be able to hear you, Jerry.
got an agenda in front of you. I need a motion to approve it.
So move.
Second?
Motion made by Barry, seconded by Fred to approve the agenda. Any questions or discussion on it? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Old business, none. New business. A, action on the public hearing applications. The first application that we heard tonight, Jerry C. Cap. How does the committee find?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Bob, seconded by Barry to approve the Jerry Cap application. A little discussion on this, please. My feeling is that they're gonna get it corrected. He's hired a landscaper to take care of it. What he's designed and stuff like that, I don't think they're.
I think if they get some topsoil, cause that ground was pretty weak, that may help get some vegetation started there, and if he waters it, I think he'll be in good shape.
And I think Terry is right, they should get some good vegetation planted in there to get things going right away so it doesn't wash out. So, any other discussion on this? Fred, do you have anything to add?
Well, I guess I just asked, is that silt fence adequate? Is that will it do what it's supposed to do?
It is so far.
Should.
If they get in there and
All right,
Get at it in the next
Vegetated.
couple of weeks, it should.
okay.
All right.
All right. The requested application is approved and will be consistent with the spirit and intent of the zoning code and will not be contrary to the public interest. Because after reviewing the application and considering all related testimony of the application, if approved with conditions, will not harm the public or neighboring land uses. 2, the testimony in opposition has been considered, but with reasonable conditions, legitimate issues and concerns can be addressed and the impacts on neighboring properties minimized. Erosion control and stormwater management plan should address any of the issues related to erosion and stormwater runoff. If the site is stabilized quickly, the detrimental effects of the current grading could be stopped, and with careful restoration of the site, even reversed over time.
Okay, Barry has stated the reasons. Conditions, Barry?
Therefore, the requested application is hereby approved with the following conditions. The development must be in substantial compliance with the site plan and additional information presented at the public hearing. All required setbacks and all their codes, including those of the Army Corps of Engineers and DNR, must be complied with. All permits must be obtained, including land use, building, and sanitary if needed. The landowner is responsible for determining lot lines and required setbacks. The filling and grading shall be done in accordance with the LCD-approved erosion control and the stormwater management plans on file with this application. The site shall have its final grading completed and the ground shall be stabilized with seeding and mulch within 30 days of the date of this decision. In addition, an LCD-approved pre-vegetation plan that meets county shoreline standards must be in place within 30 days of the date of this approval, or verification made by LCD that the existing vegetation is adequate to meet county standards. And an affidavit recording noting this vegetation shall be maintained into perpetuity within 60 days of the date of this approval. All vegetation required by the approved plan must be installed and viable prior to June 1st, 2016. The revegetation plan shall apply to all areas within 35 feet of the OHWM of the pond outside of the allowed viewing corridor. The viewing corridor should also be stabilized with vegetation. The landowner is responsible for keeping erosion control measures in place until the site is stabilized with vegetation. The landowner is strongly encouraged to clean up the property and outbuildings. The driveway shall meet all required codes, including fire and access code requirements provide for access by emergency vehicles. In addition, the driveway shall provide good visibility and a turnaround area to prevent backing onto the road. The applicant will allow agents of Washington County access to the property to ensure compliance with all applicable regulations.
Okay, the reasons why to approve it and the conditions have been read and stated. There's been a motion and a second. I will now ask for a roll call vote. Jerry?
Aye.
Fred?
Yes.
Barry?
Aye.
Bob?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Next application, Thomas, Mary, and Jacob Hansen. How do you find?
I would move the approval of that application.
I'll second it.
There's been a motion made by Fred, seconded by Jerry to approve the Thomas, Mary, and Jacob Hansen application. Little discussion. I think that as long as he's really not going to put up any kennels or anything, it's more or less because of the dogs that they have, his, hers, mine, and ours, or whatever, I believe. I think it's pretty straightforward. I did have a couple of calls on it today, so that you fellows know, but they didn't leave me a phone number, so I couldn't call them back.
And I would note that all testimony needs to be here at the public
Exactly.
hearing, so
Right.
we can't take that into consideration.
You wanna
I
read
would
the
ask-
reasons there, Fred?
I would ask just one question. What is the legal number of dogs you can have without their need for having 5? Okay.
A handful. Once it's
Alright.
more than a handful, then you
They're
gotta have a
A
kennel
handful,
license.
yeah.
We don't differentiate between poodles and Great Danes,
Well, they got 9, and I think they got more than their handful.
More than a handful.
but they have more than one person to take care of them.
Reasons, Fred?
The requested application is approved and will be consistent with the spirit and the intent of the zoning code and will not be contrary to the public interest because after reviewing the application and considering all related testimony, the application, if approved with conditions, will not harm the public and neighboring land uses. There was a letter read, was there not?
Position.
We had no
There was
opposition.
no opposition.
No opposition, Fred.
Oh, okay, well, I was just checking, I didn't want to read this thing about testimony in opposition unless it was there. If the kennel is run in a clean and safe manner, there should be no public safety issues. The proposal matches the lot and the available area. This is in compliance with approved land use plan.
Okay. Fred has stated the reasons why we should approve it. Conditions, Fred.
Therefore, the requested application is hereby approved with the following conditions. The development must be in substantial compliance with the site plan. All required setbacks and all other codes must be complied with. All permits must be obtained, including land use, building, and sanitary if needed. The kennel must be maintained in accordance with the standards of the County Humane Officer, the Waushara County Public Health Department, and the Animal Control Code. All required licenses shall be obtained from the county clerk's office, and a copy of the license be forwarded to the zoning office. No commercial boarding or training of dogs is permitted. The applicant is responsible for complying with any other applicable local, state, and federal regulations. All kennels and runs must be at least 300 feet from any home other than the applicant's and must be 50 feet from any well. All animal waste must be disposed of in a sanitary manner. The maximum number of adult dogs shall not exceed 9. The driveway shall meet all required codes, including fire and access code requirements to provide for access by emergency vehicles. In addition, the driveway shall provide